bad.
One at a time I could have took them.
What'd they get?
They cleaned out the lab. Dope they got. All kinds of dope.
There have been a long series of narcotic burglaries. Drugstores, hospitals, doctors' offices, and now a downtown college of pharmacy. The patrolman who had chased the burglars had shot a hole in one of their tires. The car was found only 3 blocks from the scene of the robbery. Although the registration slip was gone, we got the license number. 27 minutes after the crime was committed, we were on the case with a lead to the owner of the car. My name is Frank Ballinger, Detective Lieutenant M Squad, a special detail of the Chicago Police.
Joe. What's the matter, Joe?
Fran, something just came up. I'll have to call you back. I won't do.
What is it? What's wrong?
Vic, I'm sorry. The car.
Well, what'd you do? Have an accident?
I had a flat tire. I left the car in a blind alley. I was able to get the registration, but I wasn't able to get the license plates. They're going to be able to trace the car to you. Vic. I'm sorry.
What'd you do, Joe?
Tell us, Joe, what it is this time. A gas station? A liquor store? What?
I went bowling, like I said, only I ran into Paco.
Paco. You know what the parole officer said if he caught you with Paco?
I know what he said. I know what he said. Only that doesn't do me any good now. Mama, you know how Paco is. I owed him a little favor, all right, so I thought I would do it for him.
What did you do, Joe?
I broke into the lab at your college, Vic.
The college?
I thought it was such a cinch. It was a bust. Oh, Vic, you gotta help me. If you don't, I'm dead.
There's no need to go up.
Where am I going?
Well, I got second sight. You're a detective. You found my car in the alley, and you come to get me, right?
Victor J. Parker?
Yeah. You do me a favor by not going up. My mother's been upset lately.
Have you done anything to upset her?
Well, that's why you're here, isn't it?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, what's the difference, cop? What do? You like him to fight? You like to beat it out of him? Is that it?
No, that's not it. Okay, let's go.
I thought it was right. But to see him go away with a policeman, I don't know now, Joe. I don't know.
He'll be okay, Ma. I'll get him a lawyer first thing tomorrow morning. A good one, a real mouthpiece.
It's a terrible thing. A young boy could ruin his life.
Oh, they'll go easy on him, Ma. He's clean. He's got no record. He's only 22 years old.
You should know what it's like to be clean. No record, 22 years old.
Oh, don't worry, Ma. Everything's going to be all right. You wait and see. Listen, I better get back down to the bowling alley. They're going to be checking up on me.
You get that lawyer before you do anything. You hear me?
Sure. First thing tomorrow morning.
I needed the money. I needed the money, so I went along with it. Is that so hard to understand?
You've got no record of any kind. You go 6 hours to a pharmacy school. You're an honor student, and you steal narcotics. Yes, that is hard for me to understand.
He's got another job, too, Frank. He works in an all-night drugstore.
How much does that pay you?
$50 a week. It's not enough.
It's not enough, huh? So a total stranger walks up to you on the street and propositions you to knock off the narcotics lab at the school, and you go for it, huh?
Yes.
A guy you never saw before in your life. You don't even know who he is. You don't even know his name.
Yes, yes, yes!
You almost got yourself shot tonight for $1,200 worth of drugs. The other guy's got the stuff, but you don't know where it is.
That's right. What's wrong with that?
It stinks. You risk your neck robbing that school when you're going to grab 4 times the amount of narcotics you got in that all-night drugstore where you work with no strain.
They'd know. They'd know I did it. Look, I told you I did it. What more do you want to know?
We want to know who your partner is, where he's gone, what he's done with the $1,200 worth of narcotics in that suitcase, and who he's selling it to, and that's just a start. But most of all, I want you to make sense, because you're not making any sense at all.
Pulaski. That's beginning to make some sense.
Victor J. Pulaski.
Park is my legal name.
When'd you change it?
About 5 years ago.
Why?
I didn't like the name Pulaski.
Your brother's Joe Pulaski, 3-time loser.
He had nothing to do with this.
Where was he tonight while you were doing this?
I dropped him off at the Lundin Bowling Alley around 9.
And you haven't seen him since, huh?
No, I
I
haven't.
suppose that he was at that bowling alley the whole time you were knocking off that lab, huh?
Yes, yes, yes!
All right, all right. This could go on all night. Harrison. Take him down to the tank, let him cool off. Maybe you feel like talking later on.
Let me know how he responds down there.
All right, out.
You don't think he's on the level, do you? Does it stand to reason that a kid like that would pull a job like this?
No, it isn't reasonable. But you can't go by logic all the time, Frank. Remember that nice little choir boy we had over on Slocum?
Who?
Oh, you know, the kid that never even had a parking ticket? We finally traced 23 breakings and
Yeah,
enters
but
to him.
take a look at this. Two brothers side by side. Joe Pulaski. Prior arrests as long as your arm. Prior convictions 3. A 3-time loser at the age of 32. One more conviction for a felony, he's away for life. Now take a look at this one. Vic Parker. Prior arrests, none.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, supposing you were Vic Parker and your brother could be sent away for life on his next conviction.
And I could get by on a 6 months rap or maybe probation.
Yeah, that is, if you thought you could get away with it.
Yeah. Frank, you better get over to that Lundin Bowling Alley and have a talk with Joe Pulaski.
I left home about 9:15. What time did I get here, Angie?
About 9, maybe a little before.
What time did he get here?
About 9, Lieutenant. Yeah, I was watching a television show. I was just winding up. You know the one about the reform gunslinger?
Oh, yeah.
You haven't left the joint since, huh?
No. Say, what's this all about?
Who did you bowl with?
Gee, I don't remember. What was his name, Angie?
Porky. That's the way I know him.
Yeah, I just met him tonight myself.
You didn't have a partner when you came in?
No, look, I often do it. I come down here, I pick up a partner, and I bowl a couple of strings.
That's right. They do it all the time.
I don't suppose anybody can tell me where I could find this Porky now.
Oh, he'll be in a couple of nights.
You didn't spend time with anyone else, huh?
No, nobody but Angie here.
Oh, no, wait a minute, Lieutenant. I didn't see him all the time he was in here. You know, he came in for a couple of beers, then he went out and bowled a string, then he came in for another beer, you know.
Yeah, well, Porky left about a half hour ago. I've been here ever since.
So you spent time with nobody except Porky tonight, right? When you leave the bowling alley, the other bowlers figure you're in here having a beer. And when you leave here, the bartender figures you're back at the bowling alley.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
You haven't learned much in 15 years, have you?
Huh?
Didn't they ever teach you never to buy yourself an airtight alibi because you just gave him an out? If the going gets rough.
Gee, Lieutenant, you're way ahead of me. I don't even know what the beef is.
I'll explain it to you on the way downtown. Now let's go.
Joe wasn't there. How many times do I have to tell you it had nothing to do with it? Why don't you get it through your head? He wasn't there. He had nothing to do with it. He made a mistake, so he's got a record. But he's straight now. Do you understand that? He knows nothing about this. I did it. Me, Vic Pulaski. I needed the money. I took the man's proposition. Now, will you lay off me? I'm sorry I caused you so much trouble, Joe.
That's okay, kid.
I keep telling them, but they won't believe me.
He was at the bowling alley all the time with the bartender there as everybody's pal.
Sure.
All right, take your coat and shirts off, both of you.
Huh?
Just take them off. Huh?
What's this all about?
Just do what the lieutenant tells you.
Oh, Ed Ballinger. You still got him down there? Okay, send him up any time now. Right. Yeah. Okay, sit down. Did you ever see a bullet graze like that?
No.
Can we get a lab man on it tonight?
Yeah.
Sit down right next to here.
Do you know what criminal conspiracy is, son?
No.
I'll give you an example. You phony up that gash on your shoulder and then tell us you pulled the job to cover for him. That's criminal conspiracy. And that can get you 2 to 6 years in Stateville.
Look, I told you everything. You can take it or leave it.
Stay right where you're on. Don't turn around. Would you mind repeating what you told me before?
Well, like I said, it was dark in that storeroom. I couldn't see so well.
How close did you get to the man in the checkered coat?
Close as he could get, he was on top of me.
Is this the checkered coat?
Yeah, that looks like it.
Do you know the importance of this identification?
Yes, sir.
All right, you two, stand up. Don't turn around, I'll tell you what. Now turn around. Have you ever seen either one of these men before?
Yes, I have.
Which one?
That one. He's the man in the check coat.
You willing to testify to that in court under oath?
You bet your boots I am. This is the guy, I'm positive.
The janitor's identification of Vic was questionable, to say the least. A man flat on his back in a dark room is not the best witness in the world. But the bullet graze was something else again. The bullet came from behind, fired from about shoulder high. You could see by the way the fibers were bent. The lab technician felt the bullet could have made the graze, but the evidence wasn't conclusive enough to stand up in any court.
Well, you think we ought to get the kid up here again?
I don't see what good it'll do.
No. Harrison said the kid acted like he was in for the first time when he took him down the tank.
Well, I could have told you that in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, maybe sitting down there in that tank with those winos and the rest of those creeps would give him a change of heart.
If the setup is what we think it is.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we get him up here again?
All right, go ahead.
So, Charlie, this is Ballinger. Will you send that kid we sent down up again, please? Right.
You got anything more to tell us, Parker?
I told you everything.
How'd you like your stay in the tank? You know, I can tell you one thing, Vic. Our tank is like a Sunday picnic. But you'll find that out when you get to Stateville. You still want to go through with it?
Look, Lieutenant, you can take me in here 50 times, and 50 times I'll tell you the same thing. Now, why wear ourselves out? Anyway, I got a right not to talk until I get a lawyer. And in the morning, I get a lawyer.
Grave. Yeah. Well, what about it? Are you sure? Well, look, if it isn't abrasion, what is it? Oh, I see. All right, thanks.
Who was that?
Medical examiner.
What's he got?
Says that mark on the kid's shoulder isn't a bullet graze. It's a burn.
Well, looks like we're in business again, huh?
Look, Mrs. Pulaski, I want to marry Vic, not a jailbird, but my Vic, the good, decent boy I love.
Fran, dear, you have every right to be upset. But you don't understand.
You're right, I don't.
We talked it over. We made our decision as a family. Vicky wants it this way.
Fran, I'm sorry. If there was anything else I could do.
Look at me. Joe.
It happened. I couldn't help it. We had to do something.
So you're letting Vic walk the plank.
Do you want to see me go to prison for the rest of my life?
Why not? That's where you belong.
No, Fran. Fran, no, please. Please, you've got to understand.
Hold it. It's that Detective Ballinger. Listen, Fran, you gotta believe me. This was Vic's idea. You got to stay with us.
Oh, yes, he's right.
What are you telling me, that this is right? To send Joe up for...
Who knows what's right? It's the only thing we can do. Promise me you won't say anything to the detective.
I didn't know I was getting in so deep. You got to believe me, Fran.
Tomorrow, Joey will get a lawyer. They'll get him off easy. They know he's no criminal. Fran, listen. When Joey is just 13, he has to go to work already to get us bread for our mouths. Vicky and me. Vicky's just a little boy. You must understand, Vicky feels this way for Joey. He wants to do it.
I'm Lieutenant Ballinger of the police department.
That's Vicky's girl. You'll excuse her. She's upset.
But you're not upset, is that it, Mrs. Pulaski? Is this how you did it?
Did what?
Made that mark on Vic's shoulder.
Mark? I made no mark.
Well, that mark's there to stay. He's finished. But I guess you figured all that out and weighed it ounce by ounce. Balanced Vic's future against Joe's. The three-time loser who's going to spend the rest of his natural life at Stateville. You're willing to sacrifice Vic's future so Joe can wander around a free citizen for a few more months, huh? Well, that's all it amounts to, you know that.
Lieutenant, you got no right talking to my mother.
Pulaski, answer me just one thing. How do you think the law ever got written? The one that states that a man is a habitual criminal after his fourth conviction for a felony, that he'll spend the rest of his natural life in prison. It was written because of a mountain of facts and figures that states that a four-time loser is a confirmed, incorrigible, habitual criminal. That the only safe place for him and society is prison. Because if you don't put him there, he'll go on to his fifth and sixth and seventh crime. And then one night, some innocent bystander might die because you didn't put him away.
You know all that, huh? You know how a man is going to act. You can look inside of a man's head and tell, huh?
I don't know what goes on inside of your head. But I've got your record right here. You want to hear it? Pretty simple. Stealing toys from 5 and 10s at the age of 7. Bicycles at 12. 5 auto grand thefts in your teens. And then you went big time. You got yourself a gun. Gas stations, liquor stores. And now the worst of them all. Narcotics. You know, whatever most of us have inside of us that hurts when we do something wrong, you don't have it. And you never will. You can't learn right from wrong. It's something you gotta feel. I'd just like to ask you one more thing, Mrs. Pulaski. You're willing to let Vic throw his life away?
Why don't you go, Lieutenant? You have no business here.
But I do have business here. My business is to arrest the guilty and protect the innocent.
We don't know what you're talking about.
I think you do, Mrs. Pulaski, but I can't prove it. Your husband died when Joe was 12. Vic was a little baby. So Joe went out into the street and earned a living for the family. And now Joe wants to be paid off in full. And you're willing to pay him. Or I should say that Vic is willing to pay him. Are you going to let him get away with it? Are you?
You talk like a policeman, Lieutenant.
How do you expect me to talk?
I don't expect nothing. How can you know what goes on inside a mother's heart?
I think I can, Mrs. Pulaski. But you're wrong. You're not going to help Vic, huh?
I have nothing to tell you, Lieutenant.
All right. At least from here on in, you know where he stands. As of this moment, No more poring over the books at night. No more A marks and B marks. No more career. It's all down the drain. He's washed up. Finished.
Mama, I don't know what to do. I didn't want it to be like this.
Maybe you'll learn, huh, Joey? You'll finally learn. Maybe something good will come from this.
Paco. Yes, everything's all right. Listen, we're at the 4 a.m. out of Detroit, huh? Yeah. Yes, everything's all right. Listen, have you got the stuff? Yeah, okay. Meet me down at the train station in 20 minutes, okay? Yeah, right, okay.
Detroit?
Mama, there's something I had to tell you.
I don't care what you had to tell me. You're going to Detroit to find a lawyer? Well, we got lots of lawyers in Chicago, Joe. And we want one at the jail the first thing in the morning.
Look, Mama,
Maybe it's not a lawyer you're talking about. Maybe there ain't no such lawyer. Maybe you're running out on Vicky, huh? Maybe the lieutenant was right. Maybe you don't feel right from wrong. Is that it?
Mama, you don't understand.
Understanding is what I got too much of, maybe. Always the same. Always I'm blaming something else. I'm telling myself, everybody's laying for Joey, blaming him for things he don't do. Always something else, not Joe. The lieutenant was right, Joe. Give me police headquarters.
Mama, put down that phone.
The lieutenant is right.
Mama, let go of that phone.
Go ahead. Hit me again, Joe. He's right. You're sick. You don't feel anything. It ain't there.
I didn't know what I was doing, Mama. I didn't know what I was doing. Mama.
No, you don't know. Hello, police. Give me Lieutenant Ballinger, M School.
At 4:35 a.m., Joe Pulaski voluntarily surrendered. Vic went back to his home and his books and his girl. Joe made a full confession. Paco Ramirez, his accomplice in the robbery, was picked up at a Chicago train depot. Both of them are now in prison.